today we're going to make a yo-yo. That's a lot of fun because it's an actual object you're familiar with, and you might be surprised at what is actually in part of a yo-yo. It just seems like a pretty simple drawing, but this has a little bit more detail than you maybe imagine. Now, I am currently using AutoCAD 2017. Your AutoCAD might look a little different than this. But we're going to do a lot of typing of the commands, so if your toolbars don't look the same as mine, as you can see here, they're a little bit updated. A lot of them, but remember you can hover over any of these and kind of figure out what they are, but I'll try to give you some typed in commands so that you can call them up that way. Other things to know, you will need your layers menu over here, so if you're not seeing that, you can go to Windows, make sure layers is checked off, and we're going to have down here on the bottom, we are going to have our object snaps on. So we're going to make sure we have that one. And if you right click or control click on that object snap, one we're going to use quite a bit is center. Okay, we're going to use endpoint, we're going to use center. We probably won't use a lot of the others. Okay, so just make sure those are turned on because we'll need them. Alright, so the first thing, a yo-yo is really a sphere, a three-dimensional circle that has been sliced a couple of ways. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by typing sphere. I'm going to go to my command line, I'm going to type S-P-H-E-R-E for sphere. Okay, you can also, if you'd prefer, you can go to the modeling menu, click and hold on the box icon, and you should get a sphere option up there. Okay, either way. Specify the center of the sphere, and it's really important that we place this right because the measurements I have work from 0, 0, 0. Okay, so we're going to type 0, 0, 0. So 0x, 0y, 0z. Enter. Okay, it starts to make our sphere. Okay, we need to give it a diameter, so we're going to type D for diameter. Actually, no, I have a radius. Sorry, so we're not going to do diameter. So it's set for radius. So our radius is going to be 1.125. So just to make sure you have that there. 1.125. Okay, once you do that, you're going to hit enter. Okay, and then just zoom in. You might need your hand tool to sort of pan around. Oh, here it's up. Mine is up here, but yours is probably down there. Okay, just kind of center that there. Okay, so that gives us a sphere, and if you want to see what that looks like to be certain, you can go up to 2D wireframe, realistic, and you will see a sphere, a ball. Okay, I'm going to turn it back to wireframe, 2D wireframe, because it's helpful in what we're doing next. Alright, so we've created a sphere. Now we need some lines that we're going to turn into planes, like surfaces, that are going to be used to slice this object. Now we haven't done slice before, this is new. So basically if you have a 3D object and you can have a plane that intersects it, so think of it like a knife cutting a potato, you can then say I want to get rid of parts of this. Okay, so it's very important that we do these dimensions. So we're going to do a line, so I'm just going to type line in my command line, enter. It says specify first point. The first point of the line, I'm going to zoom in so you can see it, we're going to have to make several of these, is 0.06 on the x, comma, 0 on the y, comma, 0 on the z. Enter. Okay, it's going to create a line right here. Okay, I'm going to hold my shift key down so that as I drag, I get a straight up and down line. That's what we want. Okay, I'm going to click there, somewhere on the outside of the sphere. Then I'm going to hit escape. Okay, and now to make this easier, I'm going to click on this line. I'm going to grab this blue end point of the line. I'm going to click stretch. Okay, and I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to hold down my shift key again. And whoa, I didn't know it was going to do that. That's cool. Hold down my shift key again and make sure I get a straight line just to go, make sure that goes all the way through there and hit enter. Okay, so I have one, if I escape, I have one solid line right there. Okay, all right, so I'm going to zoom back out so you can see. All right, whew, that was a little weird. All right, so now we're going to try another line. We need a second line here. So I'm going to type line. Okay, this line, the coordinates are going to be 0.75, comma, 0, comma, 0. 0.75 on the x. Enter. Okay, that's going to make the line over here. Same thing. I'm going to hold shift and move up. Click. And then I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to grab the end point of that one. and we'll just stretch it, shift again to make sure that I'm going straight down, click. It's just got to get to the outside of this sphere. So just to show you what this actually looks like, okay, so that's one line, one line. I'm going to flip the view over here, okay, but I'm going to go to southwest isometric just so you can see what this looks like, and I'm going to turn it solid, and we're going to end up turning it realistic. I'm going to end up turning back. So we have a sphere with two lines that go through the sphere, okay? One thing you may have done by mistake, and probably didn't mean to, is at one point you might have extruded a line and made it into like a solid object that has sort of a grid pattern to it. Okay, it's called a mesh. So what we're going to do is we're going to extrude. Okay, so I'm going to type EXTRUD, extrude. Okay, click it. I'm going to click this line here. I'm going to hit enter, and I move it up. Okay, and then I'm going to hit extrude a second time. Okay, I'm going to make sure and grab just the bottom of that line, enter, and move it down. The distance doesn't matter too much. You just want to make sure that you're above and below the sphere. We're going to do the same thing for the other lines. Extrude, grab this line, enter, move up, extrude, grab this line down here, enter again, move down. Okay, so this looks ridiculous, but if you put it to, let's say, front view right now, okay, those meshes, those planes disappear. In fact, I'm going to do a different view. Southeast isometric actually works really well. So if you go up here, do southeast, then you'll get this view that I have. Okay, so you get this sphere with some slicing planes here. Okay, all right, so I'm going to delete, I think I can delete this line. Okay, and then I got two, yeah, this will be fine. Okay, and I'm going to delete this line here too. Okay, all right, so now we're going to use a new command called slice, S-L-I-C-E, slice, and actually gives you a little picture of a knife slicing a solid object. So we're going to click enter. So this might take a couple tries to get this right. Select the object you want to slice. We want to slice the sphere, so we're going to click the sphere. Then we're going to hit enter. Okay. Then it says specify a start point of a slicing plane. So what we're going to do is grab opposite corners. Make sure your snap is showing up. Okay. Oops. See that green snap on the end? I'm going to snap there. I'm going to snap on the opposite corner of that same plane. Okay. And then it says on the bottom, specify a point on the desired side or keep both sides. In other words, which part of the sphere do I want to keep? I want to get rid of this little part. So this is where it's going to be a little bit tricky with your snaps on, but you want to try to click towards the other half of the sphere. In fact, I'm going to click way over here. Okay, so as you can see, it's sliced off that little bit. Okay, we're going to do that again, and this time we're going to get rid of this back half. We're going to use this as our slicing plane. So slice is our command, enter. Choose the object you wish to slice. That is the sphere. I'm going to hit enter. Specify 2 points along the slicing plane. This time I'll just do up here, and I'll do down here. And then it says which side do you want to keep. I'm going to try to choose this side over here, and actually because I have my center snap on, if I go to the outside of this little circle where we sliced before, I get a center point there, and I just click, and that did the opposite of what I wanted. So I'm going to Command Z and try that again. Slice, enter, object to slice, sphere, enter, specify 2 points on a slicing plane. I'm going to go here and here, and then it says specify a point on the side to keep. So I'm going to just try sort of hovering here. Oh, it still did the wrong side. Well, I'll show you something else you can do, because we can we can keep both sides and delete one. Okay. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this because this might be in the way. I'm going to click these and let go, delete those. Okay, so I really want to keep this part here. Okay, so I'm going to try it one more time the old way, and if it doesn't work, we'll use the keep both parts and get rid of one later. Select the object to slice. This is the object to slice. Enter. 2 points here, opposite point over here, and then select a side to keep. I'm just going to try to click. Oh, see, now it's giving me the center of it. Let's see if that works. No, okay, so one last time, we're going to do keep both sides. Slice this here, enter. We're going to go here to here, and then it says specify a point on desired side or keep B is capitalized here for both. So I'm going to do B for both, enter. Okay, and what that does, it looks like it did nothing, but it treats these two sides of the object differently. Okay, there's that side and this side. So we want to get rid of this bigger side back here. So I'm just going to hit delete. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of this and this. Okay, so now if you turn it to, let's say, let's try front view. Is that going to give me what I want? Yeah, front view. And actually that's good because our UCS is XY. So you can actually see now that we have a half of a yo-yo, sort of. So I'm going to put it in southwest isometric so you can kind of see a little bit better. Okay, our X and Y should be like this. If yours is not, we're going to have to change that in a minute anyway, so don't worry about that. Okay, we're going to do a couple of things. We need a hole here that's going to be a cylinder shape that is going to act as the place where the spindle that holds the two halves of the yo-yo together are going to be. But first we need to change our UCS so that our grid lines up. So I'm going to go to Tools, I'm going to go to New UCS and based on face. Okay, and I'm going to click on this large circle of face here and just hit enter to accept it. Okay, so you can see the grid is now lined up here. Okay, so we need a cylindrical hole, so I'm going to do a cylinder, CYL, and then cylinder should come up, enter. Specify center point of cylinder. Here's something you may not have noticed about how the center of a circle works. Sometimes you're trying to find the center here, and sometimes it just lights up, but if you hover over the edge of the circle, it's kind of weird, that's where the plus sign for that center point will show up. Now be careful because there's a couple of different ones that are really close together, so make sure you're getting the one that's on this outside edge. Okay, so I click there. And it says specify cylinder base radius or diameter. So I actually have the whole diameter here that we want. So we're going to do D for diameter, and that diameter is going to be 0.25. Enter. Okay, so now we want this. You can see up here the Z direction that we're moving in. This would be a positive direction because it's going away from where the UCS, the X, Y, and Z come together. That'd be 0, 0, 0 now. I want to go that way. Okay, so I'm going to start moving this way. And the height that I want is negative 0.4. Enter. Okay, so that creates this object within this object, and we're just going to subtract it. So we're going to do subtract, enter, choose the larger object first, click it, then hit enter, then choose the cylinder, and then hit enter again, and now we have a cylindrical hole. Okay, now this looks okay, but we need to make it a little bit more finished. So these sort of sharp edges are not really what we want. So you can go to your 3D modeling tools and you can find this up here. It's you don't have to find it, but you can type in fillet edge. It looks like fish fillet. So F-I-L-L-E-T-E-D-G-E. So fillet edge. Enter. Okay. It says select an edge or chain loop radius. Well, I happen to know the radius, so I'm going to do R for radius. Enter. Then the radius we're looking for is 0.2. Enter. And then it says select the edge. So I'm going to choose this edge here. I'm going to click it once. And probably it's going to look like this. You need to hit enter to confirm. And then you actually need to enter to confirm it one more time. Okay. So it gives you a nice rounded shape here. If I turn the grid off, you'll see it even better. Yeah, nice and rounded. Okay. We're going to do the same thing with the back over here. So I'm going to change it from southwest to southeast. Okay, gives us the other side. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do fillet edge again. Enter. R for radius again. Enter. It probably has our 0.2 measurement from before already loaded, so you can just hit enter. But if it's not, you can just type it in. And then I'm going to choose this again. I'm going to hit enter again, and then enter one more time. So you get this nice rounded shape. Okay, so I'm going to click off to the side so you don't have to see all the circular stuff. Okay, now this is coming along pretty well. I'm going to change my view to left view. So go up here, change your view to left. Okay, and we're kind of looking at the flat edge of this, the bigger circular edge of one half of the yo-yo. Okay, we need your UCS to be lined up with this, so it should be X and Y as mine are. But if yours is not, make sure you go to Tools, New UCS based on face, and then click this face here. Okay, and then you have to enter to do it. But it's probably, if yours is like mine, it's probably already set up that way. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna need some layers, because what we're about to do is, if you actually were to take apart a yo-yo, there are these sort of cut pockets. There are 4 sort of cut out spots called pockets on this face, so that it's not a solid piece of plastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some circles and some lines to make that shape. We're going to copy it around and then make those cuts. But it's going to get really messy unless we have some layers. So if you go to your layers menu up here, maybe yours is showing up down here. We're on the 0 layer. That's the default layer. Okay, that just means it's like the one that's automatic. There should be a new layers button down below there. I'm hovering over it right here, new layer. Okay, so I'm just going to click on it. Okay, it's going to give me a new layer. We did this with the lamp project and that kind of stuff. I want you to name this layer pockets. Okay, and then enter. And then I want you to change the color, the default color, to, let's say, red. Red seems to show up pretty well. Okay, all right, so now you're going to make sure that this layer, I'm going to double click on the pockets layer on the far left. That means that, because earlier, even though I had the pockets layer highlighted like this is the active layer, so I'd be drawing on this. So just on the far left, double click until pockets becomes your active layer. You can also, I think, control click and say make active. That's an option. Okay, so now when we draw, we should be getting red lines and circles. So if you don't have that happening as we do this, go back, change your layer. Okay, okay, and make sure you change your color in that layer. All right, so now we need to create some circles. Okay, so I'm just going to type circle, enter, specify the center point of the circle. It's actually going to be the center of this whole thing, but I want to make sure that I'm getting, there's like a center in the back and a center in the front. So I want to make sure that I'm getting the front center. So I'm going to click on this sort of edge here. Okay, and then I'm just going to, oh, that's not at all what I want. Let me try that again. Circle, center point. I'm going to click there and see if I get it. That seems to be where I want it. I'll check it in a second. So I actually, in this case, have the diameter for one of the circles I need. So I'm going to do D for diameter, 1.5, enter. Okay, and then it might have looked like it disappeared, so I'm going to change. I'm going to turn on a second view. I'm going to go up to the little plus sign, view configuration list, and do 2 vertical. So I get a split screen. And for this one, I'm going to turn it southwest, maybe? Southwest isometric. Okay, so it did not draw what I wanted it to draw. So I'm going to try that again. Circle. So I'm back over here in this viewport. Circle, enter. I'm going to try to find, maybe if I go to, actually, you know what? That hole that we made is probably really helpful. I'm going to click on the edge of that hole. Click. And then D for diameter. 1.5 is going to be the circle's diameter. Enter. Okay, that's what I wanted. In fact, the other one is probably living in behind there. If I go 2D wireframe, yep. So if you did like I did, just go back and delete that one there because it's going to cause us issues later. Okay, so I'm going to put this back in realistic so we can see. All right, so we have a circle here. We need a second circle centered on the same spot. So circle, enter. I'm going to actually use my other red circle. Nope, I'm going to use that hole again because it seems to be working. Click there, okay? And this circle's diameter, D for diameter, is going to be 0.5. Enter, okay? So you get 2 circles like this, okay? So in this view, it should look like this, okay? All right, so now this is where it seems like we're going to do something a little funky, and we're probably even asking why these circles are here, okay? It's going to make sense in a second here. Okay, so we're going to need some lines. I'm going to click in this active view over here, type line, enter. I'm going to start from the same center point right here that we made the circles from. Click. I'm going to hold down my shift key so that I can move straight up and just make sure it goes out and above this yo-yo. Okay, and that didn't make it where I wanted. This is why having multiple multiple views is helpful. Okay, it made it further back. So I'm going to try it again. Line. I'm going to click over here. I'm going to try to click on this edge. I'm going to go straight up, holding my shift key. Okay, there we go. That made it the way I wanted to over here. Okay, so I'm actually going to go to this viewport. I guess it doesn't matter. I'll go to this viewport. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to, actually I don't need to stretch it. Well, I will so you can see. I'm going to stretch it. I'm going to hold down shift and go straight down. Okay, so we have a red line that goes like this. If this is a little hard for you to view, you can go up to, and it's probably a good idea to do this now, you can go up to the 0 layer, and there's an eyeball icon up here. It's a little hard to see. Eyeball icon, if you click on this underneath it, it should hide the yo-yo and just show you the layer you're working on right now, which will make it easier to understand. Okay? So, the other thing that's tricky is, I don't know if you can tell on my screen, the y-axis, the green line for that is showing up here instead of the red line that I drew going from here to here. But the red line is there if I hover. You can see it much better in this view. Okay, I'm going to check one thing. So I want to make sure those lines live where I think they do. I'm going to click right. Okay, it's all flat. Okay, good. That's what I wanted. So I'm going to put it back on Southwest Isometric. Beautiful. Okay, so I need another line going horizontally. So I'm going to click over here, Line Tool, Enter. I'm going to start from the center point by using the edge of this circle. Click. I'm going to hold down my shift key so that I can go this way. Click. Again, we're just making sure we get to the outside of the yo-yo. I'm going to click this. I'm going to grab that endpoint, stretch it, hold down shift again, and stretch it in this direction. Okay, that was probably way longer than it needed to be, but that's okay. All right, so now you're probably saying, what in the world is this going to become? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use offset. We haven't used offset for a while. Offset lets you make parallel lines. So I'm going to type OFFSET, offset, enter. The first thing offset is going to ask you is the distance between the lines. So our distance is 0.1. I'm going to hit enter. Okay, and then it says select an object to offset. Well, we're actually going to offset this line inward like that, and this line this way. Okay, so what you get, here's our center line here and here. Okay, you get like a little, almost like a pie slice here, and that's actually what we're looking for. Okay, so hit escape. You should have this. Okay, I went to the right from the center and up from the center. Okay, so you can actually see it a little better over in this view. Okay, so now we're going to trim. Okay, and this is going to be kind of an interesting trim. So TRIM, enter. Okay, and what we're going to trim out, we're actually going to select this line, the little circle, and the big circle. Okay, so it's not the center lines, it's the ones we offset from that. Okay, then I'm going to hit enter. Okay, we actually need to trim out a lot. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to start down here where the center circle is, and I'm going to go to the left of the line we made, and you should get a red X. I'm going to click there to get rid of that, and then I'm going to go down below, I'm going to click there to get rid of that. We'll take care of this later. Okay, I also need to get rid of this little line here and this little line here. Okay, I also need to get rid of this part of the big circle and this part of the big circle and this part of this line and this part of this line. So what we did is we just made this shape. Okay, I'm going to hit escape, and the rest of this, except for the center lines, we're going to keep those for a minute. The rest of this I can just go through and delete. I need the center line. I'm going to click, get rid of that. Don't need this one, click, get rid of that. I don't need this one, click, get rid of that. Okay, so if you're keeping track in this viewport, it looks like this. Okay, and we're going to create copies of that in all 4 of these quadrants, rotated around. Okay, so but first we're going to extrude them. So if I go into this view over here and I turn back on the layer that had the base of the yo-yo in it, okay, and I go over here and turn it back on just so you can see. Okay, it's a little hard to tell, but we're going to cut into the yo-yo to make these pockets. So I'm going to turn that yo-yo layer off again. Okay, so I'm going to extrude, EXTRUDE, UDE, enter. Select the objects to extrude. Now actually, as you're seeing, I probably should join this first, right? Because it's all one object. So join, enter. I'm going to click all of these pieces here. Okay, enter. So now it should all be together. If yours isn't, you might have to go back and see why the lines don't match up, or you haven't maybe trimmed out the way you should. Extrude, enter. I'm going to click this object, enter. Now the stalk, the bigger part of the yo-yo, is in this direction. It's going away from this Z. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter because that's what I want to do. I want to head in this direction. Okay, before I do, there's an option down here on the toolbar for a taper angle. So I'm going to do T for taper angle. And the taper angle, oh, it went away. So I'm going to try to get that back. Extrude, enter. Clicking this, enter. Heading this way, so T for taper angle. Let me see if it lets me. Okay, well then we won't worry about the taper angle. That's too bad. All right, extrude, enter. Click this object, enter. I'm going to head backwards. And we want it to go negative, because we're going away, we're going in a negative direction on the z-axis. Negative 0.4, sorry, negative 0.4. Okay, so if you click there, or hit enter, you should get this. Okay, if I turn back on that yo-yo layer, you should see that it goes into the stock of the yo-yo. Okay, so now I think I'll do this with the yo-yo layer off. I'm going to turn that layer off. Okay, now I'm going to do this over in this view. Okay, and I'm going to try this. We're going to do a 3D array. So I'm going to type 3D A R R A Y. Okay, this is what we used for the Rubik's Cube. So we're going to click on that, enter. What is the object we want to make the array of? It's this. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to hit enter. And it's going to ask, what type of array do you want to make? So we actually want to make a polar array. That means circular. So I'm going to hit P for polar, enter. Select the number of items in the array. We need 4. So I'm going to do 4, enter. And then specify the angle to fill. 360, yeah, we want to go all the way around, so we just hit enter to confirm that. Okay. Do I want to rotate arrayed objects? Yes. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay. Then it says specify the center point of the array. Well, it's going to be where these two lines cross, so you can use the intersection of that. Okay. Specify a second point on the axis of rotation. So this is where it's going to be a little tricky, because we have to grab a second point along this line. So I'm going to, I think I got it right. We'll see in a second. I'm going to find the end point of this line, and I'm going to click it. Okay, so as you can see, that was not the rotation axis that I wanted, because we got this. Okay, so Command Z. So I am actually going to turn the yo-yo layer on to do this, because it will make it easier for me to define that point. If you're in one of these views and you're looking at the UCS, how it's structured, we're actually going to be rotating around the z-axis. It's a little hard to tell, but the blue z-axis is where we're going to rotate around. Okay, so we're going to try this one more time. 3D array, A-R-R-A-Y, enter. Select the objects. I'm going to do it in this view. Click this object, enter. Enter the type of array, P for polar, enter. Number of items, 4, enter. 360 degrees, that sounds good, just hit enter. Rotate the objects, Y is yes, so we're just going to hit enter again. Specify the center point of the array. So, and you're going to have to be really careful with this, you're going to have to hover near where that hole is, and you're going to click there. That's going to be the center point. And then it says second point on axis of revolution. Any of the other center points should work. So if I click there, now we have, and you can see it really well over here, we have these red pockets. Okay, so now we're going to type subtract, S-U-B-T-R-A-C-T, enter. I'm going to choose the white yo-yo, enter, click it, and then hit enter, and then choose all 4 of the pockets, and then hit enter again. Okay, so what you get is, if I go to this view and zoom out, and now I can, I should be able to get rid of these lines now, the red lines. Okay, okay, so what we now have is, we now have a yo-yo, and I don't know if I can kind of rotate this at the same time. I'm going to try something cool here just to show you. Let's see if it works. Nope, doesn't work the way I want. Oh, I can do it this way. But it's really hard to see that. Anyway, if I go back to the southwest isometric, you can see that there's some pockets cut away in here. Okay, and so we've got where our spindle's going to go. That keeps the two halves of the yo-yo together. So we have basically created half of a yo-yo. Okay, so we need another half. We don't want to go through all the same stuff to make another half. We need a spindle and another half. So we can just mirror this object. Okay, so you might remember mirroring from way back, but you can do it in 3D, and so we're going to do that now. So it would be helpful though for what we're going to do in the future to have another layer. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. We're going to move some things around. Okay, I'm going to save the 0 layer for any dimensioning that we might have to do. Okay, I'm going to reuse the pockets layer. Okay, to be the right half of the yo-yo. So if I go in this view over here and I click, let's try top view. Okay, so top view shows this half of the yo-yo on the right hand side of the UCS. See that? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click this object. It is all one object. Okay, once it's selected, I'm going to hold down Control and I'm going to click. No, that's not what I want. Once it's selected, I'm going to right click. Can I right click? Okay, so I'm going to click Move to Layer. So let me see how you guys would do that because you're not working with a mouse. So if I just right click before I do anything, no. If I click once and then I control click, can I control click somewhere off to the side? No. Let's see. Maybe you guys will have it with Option or Command click or something. If you're having trouble with this, ask me in class and I will help you. But we're looking for Move to Layer. I'm going to click Move to Layer. Okay, and then it should give you a list of all your layers. You can select which layer that's going to be part of. So I'm going to put it in the pockets layer and click OK, which turns it red because the pockets layer is red. I'm going to double click the name of the pockets layer over here. There we go. And if you give it a second, you should be able to rename it. I'm going to say right yo-yo. Okay, and enter. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little bigger so you can see it. Okay. So this says right yo-yo. Okay, so we have our default layer, our red right yo-yo layer. We're going to make a new layer down here, new. I'm going to call it left yo-yo. Okay, I'm going to change the red to green. Okay, make that the active color. I'm going to make one more layer called spindle, S-P-I-N-D-L-E. Okay, I'm going to make that one, let's say yellow. Okay, so now we've been messing with all these layers. We want to make sure we are building on the correct layer. So I'm going to double click on right yo-yo because that, I'm going to do it all the way over on the left because that is the layer I want to actively work with. Okay, and then we'll use that to make, we'll use left yo-yo and spindle to make stuff. Okay, so we're going to try mirror, M-I-R-R-O-R. Enter. The object we want to mirror, it's going to be this, the right yo-yo. Then I'm going to hit enter. Then it says specify first point on the mirroring line. We're actually going to mirror it exactly on the UCS itself. Okay, so I'm going to hover until I get, I thought I had it showing up on the screen. A second ago it was just showing up. Okay, so you might have to move yours around a little bit, but I did get a center point here. Specify first point on line of the mirror line. Well, you know, the other thing we can do is we can just type in 0, 0, enter, because it's there. Okay, and then the second point on the mirror line, all I got to do is hold shift and move straight up and down. Okay, and click. And so you'll see it has made, whoops, and I forgot to hit enter at this second part. So let me do that again. M-I-R-R-O-R. Enter. Click the object we want to mirror. Enter. I'm going to choose, see now it's showing up. Click there for the center point. Hold down the shift and go straight up. Click. And then this is the part I didn't do. It says erase source object, yes or no. It's set for no, so I'm going to hit enter. So we get two sides of a yo-yo. Okay, and just to make things a little easier for later, I'm going to click on the red one on the left, and I'm going to move that to the layer left yo-yo. Okay? All right, so now we get two sides, green and red. Okay? So now we need to make the spindle. Okay? So this is where things get a little bit tricky because we're going to have to look at this in 2D wireframe. So I'm going to go wireframe 2D. Okay? And it looks really funky to look at. All right? We need to make a cylinder that connects these. Okay? And it's going to go on the spindle layer. So I'm going to double click over to the left of the spindle layer. I'm going to double click to make it the active layer. So it should draw in yellow. Okay. Now my UCS is not set up to do this way. See how it's XY this way? I want the spindle to be that way. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to type in, I'm going to make this wireframe, 2D wireframe. Okay. Which is really hard to look at. Okay. And I'm going to do new UCS. So I'm going to do tools, new UCS based on a face. I probably shouldn't have put this in wireframe. In fact, I'm going to switch that. Realistic. Tools, new UCS based on face. And I'm going to do it based off of this face out here. Okay, click, enter. Okay, so now when I draw over here, the X and Y will be lined up there. Okay, so I need a new cylinder. So I'm going to do CYL for cylinder, enter. Okay, it says specify center point of the base. So the center point of the base is actually going to be, if I activate this view, I don't know if you can tell, it's going to be the center point of this circular part right here. Okay, so I'm going to click there. Okay, and then it wants to know the radius or diameter. I have the radius, so I'm going to type in 0.125 for my radius, enter. Okay, and I don't know if you can tell because the yellow looks awfully close to the green, but I'm getting this other thing here. Okay, so then I'm going to go over to the other side. I'm going to snap it to the center section of that. Okay, and then I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to turn all of this solid, realistic, and you will see that we have a red, yellow, and green yo-yo. Okay, and as far as the yo-yo itself goes, that is it. Now I will tell you, we have tried 3D printing yo-yos. It's a little tricky sometimes. They don't actually weigh as much as you would hope they would. A yo-yo is going to have a little bit of weight behind it. So what I'm hoping is that in the future we can use this in another project called the yo-yo mold in order to pour molds for yo-yos, and I'll explain more what that means in the next video.